Well, hello, welcome back. I just wanted to dive in and do a quick intro for the next um, batch of DIY projects that I'm planning on doing. These aren't going to be like projects that I'm selling, they're just basically I'm going to be going through these few clay projects here, and I'm going to see if I can fix them because these were the first things I ever did with clay. And, there's things I like about them, and then there's things that need to be fixed. So now that I have a little more experience with clay, I'm going to try and go back. I'm not an expert by no means, but I just want to kind of play, play with it, and go back and see if I can fix some of the stuff that's already been done. This is air dry clay, so I've kind of tried a little bit to fix things, and it seems like it may go well. There's going to be a few things. Now, I may break it up into different videos, or I may just do it all as one. I don't know. But I'm winging this, and you're going to go along with me for the ride. So, the first thing I'm probably going to do, or one of the first things, I have these mushrooms that, the idea is there. They, I managed to scratch in some details on the stems. So the stems I'm not too bothered with. They're okay for what I need. But, if you can see, it just, I didn't do a very good job, did I? So what my goal is for these mushrooms is to smooth out these surfaces and maybe get rid of some of these cracks. Now, a few are okay because in nature they're not perfect. But I don't know, maybe, smooth some of it out, right? That's the first part. The second part is that, they're supposed to have gills underneath. So I think the second part of it, after I finish smoothing out the imperfections on here that I don't like, I'd like to kind of go under here and add in some clay so that I can scratch in some gills. And then once I get that cleaned up, then I'll paint them and then varnish them, and then I'll use them. These are going to be used in my fairy decor here as I set up things for seasonal decor in my home. So a little bit of whimsy for my displays. I already started with these two because I wanted to experiment. So this one, I tried to smooth it out. And you can see the difference between, this and this, right? You can see the difference. Now, this one I used water to smooth it out, and I think it worked pretty good. I mean, it's got a nice texture to it. For this one, again, you can see the difference. For this one, I sanded it instead of wetting it, because I wanted to see the difference between the two. What's the difference between the two when you're trying to fix something you already worked on? There's not much difference. This one is a little messier with the water, and it has to dry again once before you can move on to anything else. So this one is less messy and more immediate. You can do more right away. But be aware that, if you're kicking off a bunch of dust, you're probably going to want to wear a mask, because I'm pretty sure you don't want to breathe that in. So anyway, the top of that is smooth enough that I think I can work with it. Now I just got to go underneath and add some something or other to indicate gills. And then I think that one will be ready for paint. And again, this one I'm probably just going to sand them, I think. The only time I think I might wet them is maybe if I have deep cracks like this. Maybe I'll wet the clay to kind of blend that back in again. So I may wet these to do that. Otherwise, if it's just surface level, then I'll probably just sand it. So that's the mushrooms. Let's see. This fairy house was done with a glass bottle. So it's clay on a glass bottle. It was literally the first clay piece like this that I had done. And there was a lot about it that, there's stuff about it I like, and there's stuff about it I really kind of don't. So, again, with the mushrooms, the same thing. They need cleaning. They need to be smoothed out. And, you know, some details on the bottom of the mushrooms. Now, I like the door. I think I really like the door. I'm not going to mess too much with that. I don't like the texture that I used. I was literally just, I don't know what I was doing, but that's awful. I'm not even going to make excuses for that. It looks awful. So I'm going to smooth that out. Possibly I might wet it first so that I can smooth it out better with my hands, because that's a lot to sand. I think I might have better luck just wetting it and smoothing it out, and that might actually help me with the vines as well, because I like the vines. They feel a little stiff. It is supposed to be a little bit whimsical and not necessarily realistic, but we're going to go in at some point and we're going to fix these vines and figure out how we can make them look a little less stiff and wonky. They don't quite feel like they're organic enough for me. I started fixing the windows. I already started sanding out the what I called texture at the time when I scratched in, and it really was just awful. So I sanded that out, and now the next thing problem I'm going to solve is I want to go into these window panes, and I'm not sure how this is going to work, but I do feel like they either need to be smoothed out so I can paint them so that they can look like they're glass, so I can paint them yellow, or ideally I would love to be able to get in there and remove that clay so that there's glass behind it, so that I can stuff fairy lights in here and light up the windows. So I have a window here, I have a window here, and I have a window here. So that would be interesting to kind of stuff some fairy lights in there and see it lit. But if I can't really accomplish that without destroying too much of my work, then I'll just paint these yellow. But they have to be smoothed out first. They're really kind of jagged and all that. So that's kind of, and I may fix the base a little bit. I might build up the base just a little bit here. I'm not sure what I'm doing with the base. Again, it's for me. I'm not, it's not something I'm going to sell, but just because it's for me doesn't mean it shouldn't be nice, right? Never skimp on yourself. So I think I may fix sort of the back here, maybe add a little bit of something to it. I'm not sure. So that is the bottle that's going to be fixed. This was the roof that was supposed to go on that. So I didn't attach it on purpose because I had ideas of stuffing lights into this bottle. And then the idea was this goes on top. And let me turn it so you can see what I'm talking about. But yeah, so that's kind of the idea. The roof, again, really rough. It was one of the first things I did. It's incredibly heavy too, guys. I like where I was going with this. Where I dropped the ball is I only put in 2 layers. That doesn't make any sense. So, not sure how I'm going to fix that, to be honest. I think the only way that I can fix it will be to add like a layer up here up top. That might be the only way I can kind of fix that visually. So that might become a thing. Not sure yet. But I kind of like the overall effect of it. I just didn't put in enough layers. Like, you know, when you have a thatched roof, you have layers. And I mean, it's supposed to be whimsical. It's not supposed to be perfect, but it still looks odd because it's missing something. Okay. And then I want to go underneath and I want to clean this because you see how awful this is. This is really messy. It's really, really messy. I mean, I thought a little bit about it. You know, I put scratch marks underneath, and, you know, for texture, but there's some cracks in here that I'm going to have to fix. Maybe smooth this out a little, maybe smooth out the edges a little bit and redefine them a little bit better. That kind of stuff. So yeah, we're gonna fix that so that can be a proper roof for the fairy bottle. And then the last thing that I'm going to do with clay, and this one might actually end up being a Halloween project. I'm not sure. I was experimenting with conical roofs for a castle tower I just finished, and this was one of the experiments. It didn't work. I didn't like it. I couldn't get it the shape I wanted. I didn't have enough skill quite to get it into a perfect cone, so it's wonky and it didn't really work. So you can see like the shape is really off. So you can see even worse at the bottom. So that's okay for maybe a witch hat though, right? So I may clean this up, this whole thing. How I made this actually was I took cardboard and I formed it into a cone, and then I layered clay on top, and then once it all dried, I pulled the cardboard off, but you can see there's still some in there. Again, this is for me, so I'm not too concerned about that. But one of the things with this I want to do is I want to smooth out the texture on it. I want to clean up these edges, and then I think I'd like to create a base, like a hat rim for it to sit on, and then figure out something decorative for it and paint it, and might make a decent witch hat, maybe. So, or a sorcerer's hat, something like that. So yeah, it might. So that's the idea for this one. This one is actually going to become probably a Halloween project. But there we go. So those are the clay pieces that I have. I'm going to be working on them, maybe not all at one shot, maybe off and on. And we will see how this goes. I'm going to take you along for the ride with me, and we will see how this goes, okay? So, yep, there you go. So between these and some wood burned art that I'm going to be working on, I think that's going to be the month of July. These projects and wood burning projects, which I'll do a separate video on. I know some of you guys watch me because you like my artwork, especially my Celtic art. That's coming. I just have some prep work I have to do because I'm really rusty with my drawing skills, and there's certain things that I want to experiment with and kind of build up my skills again and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm kind of rusty. I haven't been doing drawing in any real capacity in months. So before I start those projects, I have to do that. So while I'm experimenting with some drawing stuff and getting those skills up to speed, I'll probably be diving in every so often and piecing together a video or videos, plural, for these clay pieces that are, again, air dry clay pieces that I want to fix. They're things I already made, but I want to fix them. Okay, so I figured maybe some of you guys might find that interesting because, you know, maybe you played with clay, you made something, it looks horrible, you're like, how do I fix this? Don't throw it in the trash if it's air dry clay, because you can either smash it up and re-wet it and squish it together and knead it like dough again and start over from scratch. Or you can take something that you have and you can sand it, you can use water to re-sculpt it, things like that, add more clay to it. So I'm gonna take you along for the ride as I try and fix these things that I did. Okay? All right, with that I'm gonna stop babbling and I'm going to get on with my day. All right, so hope everybody has a nice weekend. It's a weekend here. And yep, I'm going to stop babbling. Have a great day and happy creating. Bye-bye.